Okay everyone, the next part is hire purchase. That's what we'll be working on. Now you can hire something and make agreed payments on it, but of course it's not going to charge you the same thing as I normally would if you just go out and buy it. They're going to charge interest on that as well. Now what happens is at the end of the term agreement, whatever that agreement is, it will be owned by whoever's purchasing it. If of course that purchaser stops payments, then the item just goes back to the vendor and they lose the money. Now there's two different types of interest rates here that we're going to be looking at. The first one is the flat rate of interest, and we'll classify that as R with a little f. And the other one is the effective rate of interest, and we'll classify that as R with the little e. The flat rate of interest first. It's given as a percentage of the original amount, same as a simple interest rate, but this time it's called a flat rate of interest because we're using hire purchase. Now we can use the same formula, I equals PRT over 100. So the flat rate of interest, if we rearrange the formula, is 100I divided by PT. Remember, you don't need to rearrange it. You can just use your solve button, use I equals PRT divided by 100, put in your information, comma R if you want it, because we want to find the rate, and close your bracket and press enter. We know what I stands for, we know what P stands for, and we know that T is always the number of years. Now remember, the principle though is with the deposit deducted. So the first example, Nicole enters into a hire purchase agreement in order to purchase a car worth $10,000. She makes a $2,000 deposit and agrees to pay 12 payments of $800 over the remainder of the year. How much interest has she paid? Well, we need to figure out how much Nicole's actually paying for this car. So she pays a deposit, that's part of it, plus she makes some repayments. So we'll write that down. So that's what she ends up paying for the car. So how much deposit does she pay? She pays $2,000 deposit. How many repayments she makes? She makes 12 repayments, and every repayment is $800. So we work that out. Using our calculator, we end up getting $11,600. But that's how much she pays in total for the car. It doesn't tell us how much interest she pays. If she was to go and buy the car out straight away, she'd only have paid $10,000. So we minus the two. So it's going to be $11,600 minus the $10,000 if she went and bought the car straight out. So she ends up paying $1,600 in interest over the year. Part B says what is the flat rate of interest that this represents. So we need to find our RF. So we're going to use our RF. Remember, you don't have to. You could just use I equals PRT over 100 and put it into your calculator with solve. So let's work out what I is first. I is $1,600. We just worked that out. P is the principal. Now remember, we have to take away the deposit. So the car was worth $10,000 minus $2,000 deposit. We get $8,000. And T is the time. She's ended up 12 months to pay this, so 1 year. So we've got everything down. Filling in our rule, we've got 100, because R of F is what we need to find, so we've got 100, times I, our interest being $1,600, and our P was 8,000, and our T was 1 year. Working that out, using our calculator of course, we get an interest rate of 20%. So we've got 20% per annum. That's the interest rate. That's the flat rate of interest. Okay. Example 2. Hire purchase contract for a lounge suite requires Bob to pay a deposit of $500 and then make 6 monthly repayments of $345. The price of the lounge suite is $2,300. How much interest will he pay? Again, let's work out how much Bob ends up paying for this lounge suite. So it's the total paid, which is the $500 deposit plus 6 payments of $345 each, and we work that out. It's $2,000 $2,570. Now, if you went and bought it straight out, this Lowndes Street, it would have been $2,300, not $2,570. So how much interest does he pay? We've got to take away the 2. So interest is $2,570 minus the $2,300 that he would have bought it straight out, which gives us $270. Part B. What is the flat rate of interest per annum that this represents? Well, again, let's fill in the things. Again, we don't need to do it this way. You can use your calculator. I, $270. We just worked it out in Part A. P, the principal, which is $2,300 minus the deposit. And he paid a deposit of $500. So the principal is $1,800. Time. He has to pay this off, it says, in 6 monthly repayments. So time is 6 months, or 6 divided by 12, half a year. So 0.5. Filling it in, we get 100 times our 270 divided by our 1800 times our 0.5 for the time. And when we use our calculator, we end up getting 30. So 30% per annum is our interest rate, flat interest rate.
Very high.
It is high. Now that's what they tell us they're charging us. So let's have a look at a proper, and as the effective interest rate. This is what they actually charge us with. Now the effective interest rate, you can see that the formula uses the same rule for the flat rate of interest, 100I divided by PT, and then it's got this times 2n divided by n plus 1. N being the number of payments that have been made in total. Example 3. Monique arranges to purchase a stereo costing $1,690. She agrees to pay a $150 deposit, 18 equal monthly payments of $95. Find, Part A, the flat rate of interest per annum. So again, let's work out how much she actually pays for it. So we can work out our interest, and then we can use this rule that we've just written. Okay, so the total paid. She pays $150 deposit plus 18 equal payments of $95. And when we work that out, we get $1,860. So that's the total that she pays for it. If she went and bought it straight out, she would have paid only $1,690. So the interest that she ends up paying for it equals $1,860 minus the $1,690. So interest that she pays is $170. So we've got our interest. Let's fill it up to do our flat rate formula. We've got the 100 already there. The interest we've just worked out, 170. Okay, we're not going to write the rule again, we'll just do it underneath. So 100 times 170 divided by the principal. The principal, I'm just going to talk to you about it, is $1,690 minus the $150 deposit. So we get $1,540 times the time. Now it says 18 months. 18 months, you divide it by 12, you get 1.5 years. That's what 18 months is, 1.5 years. So when we work this out, we get a flat interest rate of 7.36% per annum. Part B says the effective rate of interest. We're going to do it on the side. Okay, the effective rate of interest per annum that she is paying on this contract. Now the effective interest rate is the formula that we just worked out, so we'll just write it again, times 2n divided by n plus 1. Now we won't put the n plus 1 in brackets, there's no need because it's just in the denominator. We've already worked this out, we're not going to work it out again. We'll write it all in and then we'll just do it. So then we've got times 2 times n was 18 equal payments. So she's got 18 payments to do. And then we've got 18 plus 1, which you can write 19. You don't need to put 18 plus 1. When we work all this out, the effective interest rate is 13.94% per annum. So this is what they're actually charging you, even though they've told you that they're going to be charging 7.36% per annum. Now we can, if we've got high numbers of n, then we can do an approximate value. Okay, so we can use both these forms. The first one is the effective interest rate being the flat interest rate times 2n divided by n plus 1, which we just used, or we can do the effective interest rate being the flat interest rate times 2, because when n plus divided by n plus 1, we get large numbers of n, that's going to be roughly 1. And we times it by the 2, so we get the 2. Okay, so let's do an example. Repayments on Tom's hire purchase agreement are based on a flat interest rate of 15% per annum with 60 repayments. Calculate the exact value of the effective interest rate. Because they've given us the flat interest rate, we can use this rule. 15 is our flat times 2 times, and there's 60 repayments, so n is 60, divided by 60 plus 1, which is just 61. And when we work that one out, we get 29.5%. Okay, so that's working it out as an exact figure using the rule. The approximate value of the effective interest rate, we're going to use RE, so the effective interest rate is approximately the flat interest rate times by 2. Now they gave us the flat interest rate, it was 15. So 15 times by 2, and we get 30%, roughly. Remember we had 29.5 for part A, we got 30% for part B. So it's pretty close when you have large numbers of n. Now that gives you 12C to work on, and we'll do 12D soon.